Hi everyone, it's me, Rebecca, the Colorful Booknester over at Rivercrest Cottage. And yeah, I'm back, and if you noticed by my banner that was red, I have a Booktube video this time, and I'm in front of the camera, not just simply a voice and some hands coloring. So I know I've been away for a while, and I just had a great read, and my reading is really starting to come back, so that's fantastic. And life is kind of getting into a mode where I know where my scheduling and kind of when I can do things. But one thing is I kind of stopped doing particularly Booktube because when moving to our new home, it was really hard for me to find a place to be able to do my filming at night. And because I work full time, the only time I'm going to have to be able to do this is really at nighttime. So this is about the best lighting situation that I've been able to find, and it is a kind of funny setup, needless to say, to make it work. But hopefully you can at least see me and hear me, or kind of see me but definitely hear me. So why am I back? Because I just had a great experience with a book that I want to share with you. And it's one that has made the rounds all over Booktube, and I am way late on the train as usual. The book was published in 2013, and it's called Hex. Now, if you follow me on Instagram, you are sick of seeing this book because it is one of the best books to photograph, but also because I have been holding on to this for all of October and reading it, and it's been perfect for that time of year, I have to say. So Hex is written by Thomas Oldhovel, and that is as close as I'm going to get to any of his last name. I went out on so many places on Booktube looking for people pronouncing his name, and everybody was having the same trouble I was. And then I went, okay, well, maybe there's a Dutch YouTuber that said his name or something. But when I Googled to just kind of find his name, it was everybody, all the videos were speaking was in Dutch, pardon me. They were all speaking in Dutch. And when they got to his name, the only part I recognized was Thomas. The rest went back to sounding very Dutch. So I apologize, and I feel uncomfortable calling you by your first name. I haven't met you, but what a great author for this book, and it's a fantastic story. So I've given that away. You know how much I like it, right? So let's go ahead and move on, and why don't we find out what it's about?
So in Hex, we meet Catherine Van Weiler, who just happens to be a very angry and unhappy mama. Now we all know that if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. But add on that she also happens to have been a witch 300 years ago and forced to do unspeakable things in the town of present day Black Spring in the Hudson Valley of New York. You know, Sleepy Hollow area. And that she has had her eyes and mouth sewn shut? Well, it means you're in for one heck of a creepy, unsettling story. So if you're someone that is always fearful that you will have unexpected guests, then living in Black Spring is so not an option for you. The town is cursed, and anyone born in the town or that moves there is placed under the hex of the Black Rock Witch, which means that you cannot ever leave, except for maybe short periods of time. And don't think about making any vacation plans longer than 2 weeks, or you might end up swinging yourself from the end of, oh, I don't know, some bed sheets on maybe your honeymoon. Yeah, you'll eventually try to kill yourself, and not in the most easy and convenient of ways. In addition to that, you're always susceptible to unexpected drop-in visits from Catherine herself, and she may stay for days. She could pop up at your 4th of July party just as your family from out of town shows up. You better quickly grab a beach towel and just casually throw one over and hope nobody looks under it. Or maybe you're throwing a dinner party and your boss has been invited over. And yep, there she is. Do you set an additional place setting or just hope maybe they wouldn't notice? And perhaps the most creepy dropping in is in your bedroom, or worse yet, hanging out whispering in your beloved child's ear at bedtime. Well, the book is in 2 parts. The first part, well, it felt like the climbing first hill, leading to that big first drop on a roller coaster. I could almost hear the click, click, click as we were climbing. But right As you end that first part, you feel that moment before you are going to drop. You know, on that roller coaster when you're just going over the top. And holy cow, is it ever a drop? The whole setting is unbelievably claustrophobic and oppressive. The woods, the time of year, that increasing dark mood. This is not your bright, happy village that is hiding secrets. No, living here, no one ever stops thinking about the rules they all must live by. Full of dark forests, dark moonlit nights, the inevitable cutting off of all electricity and connection to the outside world, and the resident evil that roams freely and pervasively. The atmosphere is now the most influential character in the
All
book.
right. Very spooky, huh? Yes. It is a wonderful premise of a story. It is set in an amazing place. And I wanted to discuss some of the reasons why I think, for me, it was such a hit. Because this may or may not be such a hit for you. But I know, for me, I think there was all these extra bits. And time of year was definitely, when I was reading it, I think a big benefit. So setting, time, place. Those are perfect for me because where this book is set in the Hudson Valley, particularly around the Bear Mountain, West Point area, is exactly where I have to drive through all the time when I'm going down to go see my husband down into the city, and also where I ride the train through along that beautiful Hudson Valley, and it's really atmospheric. The other part is I'm not very far from it, so sitting in my room, in my home, while I'm reading this book, the surrounding area was perfect because it was the time of year. This book takes place from the 1st of October up to about Christmas time. Well, it was funny because the day that I started reading it, it's pretty early in the book, and they use the phrase that. So this was the first week of October, and I'm laughing, going, that is exactly when I started this book. It was October 2nd, and so I was in the first week of October, and as the season progressed from fall, and then we lost we lost a lot of our leaves, and it's now dark. And in fact, well, here's a picture of what I woke up to the other morning when I went to go to work. Absolutely perfect, right? Absolutely perfect, kind of ooky spooky feeling. So that went really well. Plus the familiarity of the area, I think, really, really helps. The time of year, again, absolutely perfect. Now, this is more about the subjects that were dealt with in the book. Now, it is a great horror book. It has probably just enough kind of shocking blood, guts, and some actions by people that are quite surprising. But there was more to this, and it resonated with me, and I thought, how bizarre. More than just the spooky and the creepy and the creep factor that kept going up and up, but it was about a parent, what they will do for a child, and that kept resonating to me. And you kind of see, even at one point, what is a parent willing to do that their child doesn't have to face certain circumstances, but by making poor choices, not having to deal with the true outcome, like protecting your child from those outcomes. When is that our responsibility, and what repercussions from protecting our children so much? And then the other part is just the overall human nature effect that was going on. So part of it I talked about is that this was a village or a small little town, whatever you want to call it, out here, in this wonderful, beautiful place, that you had to know it was a pressure cooker, because for over 300 years, people could not leave. If you were born there, you had to die there. If you left and went on a vacation for any amount of time, you only had a certain amount of time to be able to be away, and the next thing you know, you're trying to kill yourself. If your children, as they were growing up, wanted to have dreams and aspirations, which is what we tell our children all the time, work hard, we want you to get all of your dreams, all the things you want to do. Well, if you did that, they'd have to do it in that little tiny village, that little town. Because if they left to go do it, even pursue it for going away for college wasn't an option. I mean, it's all these little things that after a point, this is like a pressure cooker. And, generation after generation, and the way that human nature acts in the worst of times is not always great. And this was a huge, huge influence, I believe, on the book. And it just kind of really made me realize that not only were some of the behaviors that we see in this book shocking, and you're like, oh, and you always think, I would rise above it. This book made me go, wow, in that same situation, I could totally see me going down some of these lines. And very telling. So it, just like I said, I was able to put myself into that book and go, gosh, if this was my situation. You know, the whole idea of trying to tell my child that you can have dreams and you should work hard, and then they can't even go away to college. They have to choose a college that's within driving distance of the very town. Otherwise, if they do, something absolutely horrible and terrible at this child's own hand is going to happen to that child. So all of those things in my head, I think really, and the relating to that really made this more intense than maybe somebody else might feel. The other thing is technique. So the technique that the author uses in this book that I found very, very interesting is right between the eye, foreshadowing. I mean, there is no subtlety. There is, you know, it's funny, I was thinking about it, like if this was being read in English class, I would get such tough marks because I'd be the one that going, oh, foreshadowing, and I could tell you, that was foreshadowing. I could identify it. It's not a subtle thing. However, it's used very effectively. So let me just give you an example of what I'm talking about. So the quote is like this: because it was the last time they would hold each other, and what would they have done differently if they had known? So I'm reading along, and suddenly this says basically, because it was the last time they would hold each other. And I go, what? Wait a minute. What did that just tell me? Yeah, somebody's dying and not coming back. So it wasn't a subtle foreshadow. Instead, what it did is it put this feeling of, oh gosh, how's it going to be? What is that death going to be like? Which one is going to be dead? You know, how is this going to play out? Just when I had gotten to a part of going, oh good, honesty is being said, or whatever. You know, there's a little bit of relief, and then boom, that statement. Another one, but there was still blood on their hands, and soon more blood would flow. Again, we are not talking subtle in any way. That is right between your eyes. There's more crap to come. Now, granted, we know when we're reading a book and we look at how many pages are left, but still, that sense of dread that those type statements kept putting in me, because I'm like, oh God, here we go, here we go, here we go. That was pretty crazy and felt really, really uncomfortable. And I really do believe it added to ratcheting up the feeling of creepiness and intensity, and that my own pressure cooker. So there is violence in here, and there is some language. In fact, you know, and when I talk about language, I think it was appropriate. It's not overused. It's how people would talk. The violence was a little bit shocking, but not anything over the top. I mean, if you're picking this book up, it's because it's a horror book and you want to be scared a little bit, and you understand that there's going to be violence. So, you know, even though I'm putting that out there as a caveat and to kind of let you know, I think if you're picking up this book anyways, you kind of know that stuff's going to happen. Fantastic book. I do highly recommend it if you can't tell. And I definitely recommend reading it during this time. So I'm very excited to be back and to be talking about books. I'm hoping the setup will work and timing will work, and I have read some fantastic books this year. I'm hoping to share a couple other ones, and I'm currently reading one, and I just finished an audiobook that I would love to come talk about. And I think, let's see, and I'm hoping to get one more book read before the end of October. I don't have very many days, but I'm hoping to do one more. So I look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you for checking in to see what's going on down here at Rivercrest Cottage. And as I always say, keep turning those pages. Until next time, bye for now.